What is up, guys? Today we're going to be comparing the Redmi Note 8 Pro to the Redmi 9. So these are two budget phones, so we're going to go ahead and do this comparison so you can make the right decision. You may not need the more expensive Note 8 Pro. You may be satisfied with the Redmi 9 here. So let's go ahead and get started. The Note 8 Pro comes in at around $224 on Amazon, and the Redmi 9 is very cheap right now. One of my favorite budget phones for around $150. It's just insane what you get at this price point. So let's go ahead and get started. So design wise, two very different designs. So you have a more premium design on the Note 8 Pro. It's a glass back, just feels like a tank, very premium, and it's a plastic railing, but still it just looks really great. Now on the Redmi 9, it is a plastic design, definitely a little light, but not super light because you have a 5020 milliamp battery on here, so it gives it a lot of weight. But definitely does not feel cheap at all for this $150 price point. They both have USB Type-C, a 3.5mm jack, pretty much the same camera module setup. As you can see, you just have a circle around the Redmi 9. Fingerprint scanner is in the same exact place. They both work very fast as well. Now when you flip it over to the front, as you can see, not a huge difference even with the price points. You do have a little bit more bezel on the Redmi 9, but the same water drop notch display. They're both 1080p displays. They both 6.53-inch displays, and they both have the same 395 ppi. So two very nice displays, very bright. I have no issues with this display. I do think the Redmi Note 8 Pro is definitely a little bit brighter than the Redmi 9, especially when I went outdoors with these guys. So that is something that I noticed, but two super solid 1080p displays. So just watching content, playing games on these guys is going to be perfectly fine on here. So both of these phones are running Android 10 with MIUI 11. If you don't know, MIUI 11 is packed just with a ton of stuff, and they both handle MIUI 11 fine, especially the Redmi 9, surprisingly, since it's such a heavy operating system. So you have everything on here from second space to your dark mode to screen recording. It's just packed with a ton of stuff. Your Android 10 gestures, all of that stuff is in here, and I just absolutely love this skin. It is a very heavy skin. So the processor is where these phones start to differ pretty heavy. So you have the Helio G90T on the Note 8 Pro, Mali G76 GPU, and on the Redmi 9 you have the Helio G80 and the Mali G52. So big difference here. So you have 6 gigs of RAM on the Note 8 Pro base model, 64 gigs of internal storage and micro SD support, 32 gigs on the Redmi 9, 3 gigs of RAM on there, as well as expandable storage. So basically you will be playing games on like medium to low settings on the Redmi 9. This Helio G90T on the Note 8 Pro will be able to play games on high. So if you're a gamer, you're definitely looking at the Redmi Note 8 Pro. You can play Fortnite even on high. The Redmi 9 is not compatible with it. So overall, just the more powerful phone here. Now they're both very, snappy phones, especially the Redmi 9 for its price point, but this is where the two phones differ to me a lot, is with the just processing power. Now both of these phones come packed with NFC for your mobile payment, so you will be able to do that on both of these phones, which is awesome. The speaker on both of these phones is very loud. I think the Note 8 Pro has a little bit more depth to the bass, and you don't really have that on the Redmi 9. So definitely slightly better speakers on the Note 8 Pro as well. They actually both have infrared ports, so if you're interested in that, you can use it as a remote control on both of these phones, which is awesome. So let's go ahead and talk about the cameras, because I think this might be one of the biggest differences besides the CPU. So you have two quad camera setups on both of these phones, starting with the Note 8 Pro, a 64 megapixel wide and 8 megapixel ultra wide, 2 megapixel macro and 2 megapixel depth. You get 4K video. You also get a 20 megapixel selfie that shoots in 1080p. On the Redmi 9, you get a 13 megapixel wide, 8 megapixel ultra wide, a 5 megapixel macro, and a 2 megapixel depth sensor. It can only shoot in 1080p, so no 4K on the Redmi 9, and also you have an 8 megapixel selfie that shoots in 1080p. So the biggest difference is the camera quality. So much better camera quality on the Note 8 Pro. There's more detail, dynamic range is better, color accuracy is better, pretty much everything is going to be better on the Redmi Note 8 Pro. Not saying that the Redmi 9 has a bad camera by any means, because it does not, especially again for its price point. I know I keep saying that, but it is really good for its price point. But if you want the better camera, you are going to notice a significant difference in photo quality here. So just do note that. But again, two very good cameras, even on the Redmi 9. So let's go ahead and talk about battery life. So this is one area where the Redmi 9 actually beats the Note 8 Pro. You have a 5020 milliamp battery, 18-watt fast charging on the 9, and on the 8 Pro you have a 4500 milliamp battery, 18-watt fast charging. Basically, you're getting around 8 hours of screen on time. In the Redmi 9, you can easily squeeze 10 to 11 hours of screen on time on this guy, which is crazy. So you get really good battery life on the Redmi 9. Alright, so if you're deciding between these two phones, just know that the biggest difference is going to be the camera and the processing power. So if you're a gamer, you're going with the Note 8 Pro, and if you're really into cameras, you're going with the Note 8 Pro. If you don't care about those and battery life is just more important to you, and they both have basically the same display and the same UI and everything, so those are the two biggest differences. You have to make your decision based off of that. So two very solid phones. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one.